All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about gaming's invisible hook. We're going to explore how a psychological system designed way back in the 1930s might just be the reason you can't put down your controller today.
So let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Have you ever been hours deep into a game, clicking away, grinding, just going through the motions, and then you have this sudden moment of clarity where you realize, wait, I'm not even having fun right now. You just feel compelled to keep going.
Well, if that sounds even a little bit familiar, you need to know this. That feeling isn't a weakness. It's not a flaw in your character. It is not an accident. It is a very, very deliberate and incredibly powerful psychological design.
To really understand this design, we gotta hop in a time machine. We're going way back to a 1930s psychology lab to look at a now infamous experiment that involves a rat in a box.
This little contraption is called a Skinner box, named for its creator, B.F. Skinner. The whole concept is actually super simple. It's a controlled environment built to study how our behavior gets shaped by consequences. An animal does something, and that action causes a direct result. Simple as that.
So, in the first round of experiments, the loop was completely predictable. A rat's in the box, it sniffs around, it eventually bumps into a lever, and bam, a food pellet pops out. The rat learns really fast. Press the lever, get food. Action equals reward every single time.
And right here, this is the core analogy for this entire explainer. It's so brilliant. The rat in the box, well, that's you. That's the player. The lever it's pressing, that's your controller button, your mouse click. And the food pellet, that's the loot, the XP, that big flashy victory screen.
But this is where the story takes a really sharp and unexpected turn. Skinner decided to change the rules a little bit, and in doing so, he stumbled onto an accidental discovery about addiction that was, to be frank, pretty terrifying.
So the change Skinner made was tiny, but its effect was absolutely massive. On the left, with that predictable reward, the rat would press the lever when it was hungry, eat till it was full, and then just stop. The behavior had a natural endpoint. But on the right, Skinner introduced randomness. Now, the lever only gave out food sometimes. What do you think happened?
The results were just dramatic. The rat's behavior totally changed. As one source puts it, the rat became obsessed. It pressed the lever frantically and continuously. It had no idea if the next press would be the one that paid off, so it simply never stopped trying.
This whole phenomenon actually has a name. It's called variable ratio reinforcement. It's just a fancy way of saying a reward comes after an unpredictable number of actions. And here's the really crucial part. This isn't just one of many effective methods. It is the single most addictive and compelling form of conditioning known to psychology, period.
Okay, so let's fast forward. How do we connect that lab experiment straight to the screen that's sitting in front of you right now? Well, welcome to the modern Skinner box.
Loot boxes are maybe the purest digital version of this principle. You pull the lever by opening the box, and this chart pretty much shows you what happens. The vast majority of the time, you're getting junk. But that tiny, little, tantalizing 1% chance for a legendary item, that's the random pellet that keeps you pulling that lever.
And look, this isn't just about things you pay for. Oh no. It is built into the very DNA of gameplay itself, what we all call the grind. When you're killing the same boss for the 50th time, hoping for that 1% rare sword drop, you are the rat pressing the lever. When you randomly land a massive critical hit in a battle, that's a variable reward that keeps the fight from getting boring.
So why does this work so darn well on our brains? Why do we feel that constant nagging urge for just one more try? Let's get into the science of it. This is your brain on random.
So, we've all heard of dopamine, and most of us think of it as the pleasure chemical. But the latest neuroscience shows that's not exactly right. It's much more accurate to call it the anticipation chemical. With a predictable reward, your dopamine spikes when you actually get the thing. But with an unpredictable one, the big dopamine rush happens before the outcome is revealed. It's the thrill of what might be.
This creates an incredibly powerful and kind of vicious cycle. First, the anticipation of the reward spikes your dopamine. You feel excited, you're engaged. Then, you open the box and get a junk item. Your dopamine levels crash, and you feel that little sting of disappointment. So, what's the fastest, easiest way to fix that low and get that spike again? Yep, you guessed it. You pull the lever one more time.
And if that core loop wasn't already enough to deal with, game designers will often add these extra layers of psychological tricks to make the effect even stronger and keep you hooked.
Oh, you've definitely seen these in action. There's the classic near miss, when the loot box animation shows a legendary item fly right on by, making you feel like you were so close. Then there's the sunk cost fallacy, that little voice in your head that says, dude, I've already put in 20 hours. I can't quit now. And of course, all the flashy lights and epic sounds that condition your brain to feel a rush of victory, even if the prize itself is completely worthless.
So let's wrap all this up. What are the key takeaways here? Number 1, that compulsive feeling to play just one more round is the result of intentional design, not some lack of willpower on your part. 2, many of the game loops we love are just fancy digital Skinner boxes. And 3, the whole system works by hijacking your brain's dopamine system, getting you hooked on the anticipation, not just the reward itself.
And that leaves us with one final question to just think about. Now that you can see the design, now that you know the rules of the game being played with your own brain, who's really in control?